Blah, 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 blah. True. Who says true? Who says false? People who say true. 0 in the exam. 0. 0. Read the question again. Let's read the question again. Carefully. Who is the subject of the question? Very good. Whistleblowing. You know what's whistleblowing? I'm not sure. What is whistleblowing?
It's exploiting.
What is whistleblowing? What is whistleblowing? Guys, you're gonna die in the final exam. What is whistleblowing? What is whistleblowing? Omar? Omar. What is whistleblowing?
I'm banning someone.
Good, but what is whistleblowing? Huh? Thank God. Yes?
Doctor, employee attend to
That's what it says in the slide. Guys, that's what it says in the slides. It doesn't mean it's a definition. Okay?
It's like a person who does illegal act.
Really? No, 0 in the exam.
It's a person or a group that gets the attention to something bad or illegal.
Okay.
Or like something bad in the company or in the community. Yeah, exposed.
Yes, that's yes. Yes. It's not the same you were saying.
So it's exposing the bad.
So whistleblowing is when you're an employee, you see something that's wrong, illegal or not, that's wrong, and you expose it or you report it to the boss or to the press. That's whistleblowing. But here it says whistleblowing is an employee that wants to make money using illegal acts. No.
No, they just do.
Not the complete opposite, but pretty far. Pretty far. No, I want to understand if you understand the words written here. And yeah, thank God, it's wrong. Yeah. Somebody put depends. No. Number 2, who wants to read it? Yes. Shh. Right. Yeah. The people. 0 in the exam again.
They don't cause harm to society.
C people, thank God. A people. B, no. Okay. Guys, are you serious? D, all of the above? Really?
It doesn't cause harm.
It doesn't cause harm. You're not supposed to cause harm. Do you read the question or it's just
No. You give us like a time limit, so we have.
right?
Time limit makes sense. Just like this. It's why they want to.
Omar, can you read number 3?
C.
thus charging by the hour unethical behavior on the part of contract workers and subcontractors.
Yes.
Yes, it does, because some people want more money because they're being charged just an hour.
Who says yes? Raise your hands.
Now you will say you will feel like this.
Who says no? Who says no? Why not? Okay, so the answer is yes, right? Obviously, it's a conflict of interest. If you get paid by the hour, you will want to make the project longer.
So you can make more money because you're working by hour.
Potentially, it's a conflict of interest. So therefore, it encourages. Not all the time, but it's not great, so it encourages, right? Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Right. Number 4, who wants to read? Yes. Yeah.
Risk assessment table should contain the likelihood of an adverse event happening only when the likelihood is high and not when it is low. True, false, or false?
All right. Who says true? True people. Don't be afraid. False people. Depends people. Nobody depends?
You are the dependent.
Okay, so in this case, just because the likelihood is low, the impact could be very high, right? So you can have, it's like a hurricane or a tornado. The likelihood is low, but the cost is very high. So that doesn't mean you should ignore it. Okay. So likelihood is the probability of the event happening. So just because it's low, it doesn't mean you should not consider it in a risk assessment, right? Yeah?
It's literally in the name, risk assessment.
I always said that to pass this exam, you don't need to attend the class. Just applying common sense. Yes. It's false, obviously, yes. Number 5, safe.
The security of any IT system is a combination of
Hey, you, what's your name? Did you get an A in the last quiz? Did you get an A? A. Yeah. The midterm. No. You cannot talk in the class. Only people who got an A can talk. The rest, if you didn't get an A, you cannot talk. Right. What's the answer? I don't remember is not a very good answer. The security of the system is a combination of various factors. Which factors? Policy, people, and technology, right? Yes? Policy, people, and technology. Do you remember that?
This is the second chapter.
Policy, like you need to have rules, security rules. People, the people need to understand the rules. And IT meaning technology. People, I mean, you need a good firewall. If you don't have any of those three, you don't have anything.
Policy and technology?
Policy, technology, and people. So you have very nice policy, but nobody follows it. That's the people component.
So policy, people, and security.
Technology. Number 6, but make sure you understand deeply the topic, please. Because I will ask this question in a different way.
So maybe
Like I will make a case and say, what happened here? Why did this fail? Correct. Correct. Number 6, who wants to read? Khaled.
Computer security incidents occur around the world, with the personal computer users and development computer being exposed to the greatest risk of their computer being infected by malware.
Who says true? Who says false? Depends. It's true, right? So in Africa, if you read the chapter, like 80% or 90% of the computers are infected by viruses. 7, yes?
describe a zero-day attack, cyber attack that occur on the same day weakness is discovered.
No,
so it's like if
That-
you find the weakness in the same day, you use it.
not the same day. Any day before the weakness is made public.
So before being public. Being public.
Any,
So if I know it just by myself,
it's a zero, and you attack it, that's a zero-day attack. Nobody could do anything against it.
but
That's,
they know nothing about it.
yeah.
So if there's an attack and no one knows about it, there's an exploit. If it goes public, it's not the zero attack. It's the zero time attack. The zero time attack is before it being public.
Yes.
So I said any day before the weakness is known.
No, that's not very good English. Any day before the weakness is known could be referring to anything, like nobody likes my new fashion. I don't know. You know what I mean? Be specific. Be specific. A zero-day attack is any attack that occurs exploiting a weakness before it's public. So when a weakness is published, you start counting days. 1, 2, 3. if you get an attack, somebody exploit that weakness that is already public, when the count is 100 days, what does it mean? It means you're lazy, right? So, right? If it's 1,000 days, you're super lazy. If it's 1 day, okay, you didn't have time. 0-day attack means that you didn't have time to fix it or to patch it. That's what they call it. Does that make sense?
So how would you like it in a short answer?
Any day before the exploit is...
Any day, no. Answer the question. A 0-day attack is an attack that exploits a vulnerability or a weakness, a vulnerability, before it's made public to the community. And you could go, if you want the A+, you could say it's not possible to do anything against 0-day attacks. That's what they mean, basically. That's why they are so dreadful, because no matter how much money you spend on security, you are always exposed to 0-day attacks. Does it make sense? Good. Next one. Number 8. Who wants to read number 8?
The written statement that defines an organization's security requirements as well as the controls and sanctions used to meet those requirements is known as policy. No.
What?
I don't know.
Policy is good. What else? Something else? Policy could be anything, so should be. What? Anybody? I would say IT policy or security policy or user policy, any of those. Security policy would be obviously very good, yeah. User policy, yeah. 9. Who got 9? Number 9. Yes. Can you read it, Mr. Old School?
Develop a strong argument against the adoption of and bring your own device. Policy for a large financial services organization. Now develop a strong argument in favor of the adoption of such a policy.
Good. So I want one in favor and one against. You got it? Who's got this one? Nobody? This question will be in the final exam.
Oh my God.
Guy laughing with the cap.
He's finding the answer.
So can you give us the answer to it?
You okay? Did you get an A in the midterm too? You cannot play video games inside the class. Okay, good. All right, so what is it? Anybody? What would be an argument against the adoption of BYOD? Basically,
A large financial services organization.
what's an argument against?
BYOD is like bring your own laptop.
Yeah, what's the argument against? So here
That maybe your laptop is used for malicious purposes.
against, not in favor, against.
Maybe it has viruses or it's not safe enough.
Against.
Against an
Against, yeah, it means.
I'm asking for against, not in favor.
Okay, against maybe that we will be more happier because we can use our own laptop.
0 in the exam.
Maybe they are.
That's not a very good argument. It's a kindergarten argument. What have we learned in the last 4 months here? Okay, so give me something more substantial.
Maybe they have installed programs in the organization that.
Okay. So use the frameworks. That's why we have them, not to sound like Kindergarten, right? Okay, so what would be the framework here?
You tell right.
I don't care, any framework.
Utilitarian.
Utilitarian, why?
More people will be happy because they're on devices and they don't need to install other things again and over again.
That's great, but utilitarian, yes, utilitarian, you want to maximize the happiness of the universe. Yeah? The happiness of the universe, the utility, and usually it's very hard to measure happiness. And it's not, it's, in a corporation, you cannot go around saying, yeah, we'll be happier. Ah. We will maximize the happiness of the universe. I don't think the corporation will like that. But a proxy for happiness is how efficient you work, right? So it's so much better if you say,
the efficiency will go up because of,
because there's so many papers that show that.
against.
This would be in favor of, well, so the question is against the adoption of BYOD. So against. So can you tell me again one argument in against? Yeah, this was in favor, so against would be what? You can use the same framework.
Okay, from utilitarian approach, many people will start touching other people's computer and privacy and maybe manipulate their data. Many people will start.
No, but you could say utilitarian. When you bring your own device, the security risk increase. There will be more data leaks. The customers will be unhappier. The company value will go down. We might get fired. We'll be unethical because we lost customer data. And we know that bring your own device is the #1 source of leaks and problems. So you can use the same framework to go against and defend. And I don't care if you're right or wrong. I care how you argue. Right? That's good. Okay? So that was against, and in favor would be people are more productive. Therefore, from a utilitarian point of view, if people are more productive, they save time, they're happier, fantastic. The company makes more money. Does it make sense? So you could have done that for each framework. Okay, next one.
Explain net.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Explain net neutrality and why it is good or bad for a country economy.
Same. This is exactly the same question as 9. Choose a framework, look professional. Yes? So we discussed net neutrality in class. We saw that net neutrality promotes entrepreneurship, more companies, more startups, which is the #1 source of jobs, of future jobs. So you could say, well, it's good to have net neutrality. It's ethical from utilitarian approach because countries with net neutrality has higher GDP and create more jobs because they have more startups. Or you could say the opposite. You could say,
We could say that people won't be able to make their own business and start up new product innovation and ideas. This is the bad.
is really net neutrality bad for business?
I mean, because the big companies have net neutrality, so the small ones cannot afford.
So big companies do not want net neutrality because they make more money without net neutrality. But you can say that, but if you don't have data supporting you, it's not very good. Like it's very obvious that it's not true. Like it's not great also. So yeah, so the argument in favor is very clear. What's the argument against net neutrality? A strong argument. You can say values, like we want to control what our kids watch, and to do that, you cannot have net neutrality. We want to control, the content that our citizens see, right?
I mean, the way China did it is you need to make an account online. You need to have your ID,
Very good. Yeah.
and they check your age.
Right. Yeah. In Germany, you cannot post Nazi content on the internet.
VPN.
So,
VPN.
yeah, but you cannot publish Nazi content, so by law. So that's also not net neutrality, but it's an exception. They have some exceptions to net neutrality. Does it make sense? Got it? Good. In favor, like utilitarian approach, countries with there's lots of research that shows that countries with net neutrality create more jobs, and or the citizens are happier. Or very obvious, if you can make WhatsApp calls, or people cannot play Black Ops because they cannot use Skype, because there's no net neutrality, well, the young people are not going to be very happy, right? Yeah. So utilitarian approach, less happiness or less. Or you could not have pew pew die here because there's no Skype, which is a shame also, right? Yeah. So good. So that any of those would be a very strong. The stronger arguments are the ones that you show data, like news or data, that nobody can say, no, that's not true. The weakest arguments is, I think, I believe. You can say, but it's not a very good argument. Okay? Next one. What is privacy in the context? Yes. What is it? Oh my God, we just did this 2 weeks ago. First, it's a right to be left alone. It's the right to be left alone. Do you remember that? To have that right, to accomplish that, you need to be able to control your data so that nobody has your phone number and not just anybody can call you and stuff like that. Does that make sense? So the basic is the right to be left. Excuse me? These are long form answers because they're complex concepts that you cannot just reply in 2 words. So first, it's a right. The right is the right to be left alone. And then you explain what is the right to be left alone and how do you implement that right? How do you make it real? How do you protect it? To have that right, you need to control on your data. And that's what the GDPR is all about, basically. So you can plug in the GDPR. For example, GDPR, blah, blah, blah. That would be the A+ question answer. GDPR, the European Law on Privacy. GDPR. Privacy, P. 12.
Then we have no net neutrality by respecting at the same time privacy.
Yes or no?
What does it mean exactly?
Exactly, that's what I mean. Can you have not net neutrality? Can you have non-net neutrality? By respecting at the same time data. So basically, if you don't have net neutrality, can you have privacy? No. Why not? If you don't want to have net neutrality, can you still have privacy? No. Why not?
Because all the companies are connected to each other and they share information.
Because to violate net neutrality,
We violate also privacy.
correct. It's impossible not to violate privacy. Why? Because you need to look, oh, you want to connect to Skype, I'm going to block you. You're already watching what I'm doing. You wanted to connect to Skype. That's already your privacy. Why are you looking what I'm doing? Yes? Does that make sense?
There's no neutrality, there cannot be
Without,
so it's the same.
if you want to implement non-net neutrality, you're violating privacy, basically. Yeah, that's what it
You
means.
can't say you have privacy.
Can you have, to have privacy, you need net neutrality? That's what it means. Can you have privacy without net neutrality? Very difficult unless you don't use the internet, but who doesn't use the internet? So. Awesome. 13. IT professionals, certified professionals like doctors and lawyers. Therefore, they are liable. True or false?
False.
False. Depends. Depends people. Why? It's not depends. Or I would accept depends if you say depending on the country. But that's it. So in America, no. In Europe, it's false. And here, I don't know, because I don't know the law here. Because I don't know, I didn't look at the law, it's in Arabic, and I don't know what it's written in the law.
There is a law.
Is it?
Yes.
They should be.
Well, check it out, and if you find it, bonus point.
I can't read English.
You can read the Arabic then. 14.
Explain how would you ensure that a decision-making process was ethical.
Right.
You follow the
5 steps. It's the 7 steps, right?
What? The 7th step?
15. Give an argument in favor of Snowden actions that does not involve common good approach.
Snowden? Oh, the Q. Right?
Yeah, that. I will leave you this one. And finally, there was a bonus question. The bonus question was, there was a traffic accident. This is real. There was a traffic accident.
Was the Tesla breaking?
No. 2 students. One student got hit by another car. Here, yeah, the same day of the exam. One student car got hit by another guy. And then you arrive there. Your student calls, help me, and you arrive to the accident scene. What should you do?
We apply the law.
You are not the law. Wait for the
Yeah, wait for the police, you're not the law.
Wait for the police, apply the
I
law.
am police.
But you can do something if there's something,
you have
something good.
So that's it? That's what you do? You call the police?
No, you go help her.
You help.
You
Depends
help.
on what. If he just
You're a psycho. You're a psycho.
No, I don't.
You let him die there.
No.
I am
You wait for the police.
No, it depends on the situation. If it's just the hard.
Depends. I love depends. No.
If the car is damaged,
There's no depends here.
if the car is just damaged, you can't do anything.
If someone is stuck inside, what you will do? You will leave him inside?
You'll help.
Well, you said wait for the police.
I didn't.
I said
I didn't
depends
say
on the.
Okay. Nobody's stuck. There's no danger. Just there's been just a small bumper dent. Okay.
If they are close to the
Okay.
street.
What do we do?
You have a point there.
What's the point?
If they
If they are close in the way or the street, tell them to go. And
Try to wait.
people.
Yeah. They're not blocking anybody.
Okay. Stay and listen to the police.
Wait for the police.
Because if they, I don't apply the law.
Okay.
If I am police, I apply the law.
Who would wait for the police? 1, 2, 3, 4. Who would do something else? What would you do?
I would go first give him a CPR, maybe.
We said there's no danger, so no.
I will not.
What's the question exactly?
I'll make sure he's not dead. He's not dangerous, nothing.
Okay. 0 in the exam and 0 in the exam.
Why?
What did we teach you here in this subject? Be ethical. You're not being ethical. You're just being a robot.
Talk to them.
That's not the same.
Talk to them.
Be ethical means,
Go talk to
how can you be ethical first?
You ask what
If you
happened.
don't consider alternatives.
You ask what happened. No, what happened. Who
First
was
ask
the
the
It's not my business.
I'm sorry.
It's not my business. Why I should ask?
Not ethical either. You're not thinking about the common good.
Maybe he was good in his life, so I am going to call the ambulance then to help him at something. But if he was bad, I should.
0 in the exam. So how do you ensure that you're being ethical in your decisions?
Yes, ask.
First ask, don't assume things.
Yeah, ask.
That's pretty good. And then consider at least 2 alternatives.
Right. Because there are 2 stories.
And then evaluate what would happen, applying your frameworks that I teach you here.
The police will do all that.
I don't care, but if you don't consider any alternative, you're not being ethical. You're being a robot.
Why I should?
Because if you don't make a choice, you are not being ethical, because being ethical means to choose.
So what can I do in this situation? Talk to them. What happened?
You should at least consider alternatives,
In this situation,
which is always really smart.
Okay, tell us from the beginning what I have to do.
You would identify the alternatives that you could do.
So what's the
One alternative is ask what happened. The other is wait for the police. The other is call the police immediately. There are many alternatives that you can consider.
Right.
But not considering alternatives is the worst thing that you can do. Assuming is also even worse. Does it make sense? Yes?
They will kill them.
Yes? Because if you act the same way you do in business, you're not going to be ethical. Oh, I assume this. Oh, I assume that. No, and it's in the situations where everything is so obvious or looks obvious.
Even it's ethical for the police also.
I'm not saying it's not ethical or it's not the best thing to do. I'm saying if you don't consider alternatives, you're not being the most ethical behavior.
So the answer should
Here
be,
the
for
2
example,
stories
And
between them.
I don't know, but saying I would do this, that's not the best way. You say I would consider alternatives, and you
But
can
the
say,
laws but the laws say if you if you see something,
Don't.
call the police.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
great,
Okay.
great, that's fantastic. So you should consider, sit down. You should consider one alternatives, but you should consider all alternatives. If you do not consider at least 2 alternatives, you're not making a choice. If you're not making a choice, you're not being ethical. You're just being a
I
robot.
have a question.
Next time when I see accident, I'll bring a paper and I'll draw like the schedule alternative.
Wasting time and delaying a decision is also a choice. Yes.
Now you're saying this guy is hidden by a truck, okay, let's imagine. Okay? Then I am as an ethical student, let me consider the alternative. I call police.
Being ethical doesn't mean wasting time.
Honestly, here's the thing. You can get sued for saving someone's life.
Yes, actually he's right. In this country, you can get sued.
Yes.
You can get sued for saving anyone. You give someone CPR, they sue you. Someone is having an attack and you use an EpiPen on them, they sue you. They can sue you for anything.
Oh, okay.
In this country,
Yes.
yes.
Don't care about humanity.
If you see someone, just call the ambulance. You should do something, but interacting with them, you get sued.
Very good point, Omar. And it's what we said before, the laws are not always with the morals. Can you sit down, please?
I am sitting down.
Yes. You got it? Anyway, that was the bonus question. So
We all get zero.
No,
most of the people say, I know exactly what to do. How do you know if you're not even... What do you mean?
I would consider alternative.
our blood.
Maybe, yeah, you know. But anyway, asking what happened is a good one, say. Any other questions? Okay, I'll see you next day. Thank you.
So we all have.
Thank you.
If you answer.